I was gonna say a really inappropriate question like, what would your stripper name be if you could be a stripper? But that's probably I probably shouldn't say that. So I think my name is Sophie Hannah and this is the CINE vlog. I've been gone for a minute, but we're going to jump right back into it with another movie review. And today I'm talking about Hustlers. Now you must have seen it. You must have. It's a film about strippers and that's really what they sold it on. It's going to be sexy and it's going to be salacious. And the plot is about a woman called Destiny. Now Destiny is somebody who is trying to make some money to look after her grandmother, but she is not really finding the knack of how to kind of make the money in the strip club that she's working in. But then in walks Ramona, or should I say in struts J-Lo on a pole doing some fantastic dancing. Now Ramona and Dorothy become very good friends and they're killing it. They're making lots of money, but then boom, the economic crash happens and the stripping industry is hit very hard. But then they come up with a plan to still help them make money in the stripping industry, but not everything goes according to plan. Now, when I first saw this film being advertised, I knew I was going to see it. I thought I'd give it a chance. From the advertising, it really looked like it was just going to be a bit of fluff. I thought they were kind of using the women and the sex scenes and the pole dancing to kind of draw people in, which they did to a certain extent. But this film had depths that I did not even realise. But let me talk about a few of those in the pros. The pro number one has to be that I thought this was a well-written film, like a well-written script. It's based on a true story, so it really is based on strippers who were swindling men out of money, but you were really drawn in by the characters. This film could have really painted a stereotypical picture of strippers. They could have come across as money hungry or drug addicts, alcoholics, prostitutes, but this script really took a different route. It really humanized these women and you could see that they were more than just strippers. They were people who were trying to provide for their families and make ends meet when they felt like no other avenues were open to them. They hadn't got an education, but there was a skill that they were good at, that was stripping, and they tried to use it, really get ahead in life. And I thought that was really well written, and I really liked that the film didn't go down the route of being condescending to all these women, but it allowed you to understand with them and even really sympathize with their plight up until a certain extent. Also, the script really balanced like the comedic moments and the dramatic moments and the thrilling moments. Like they all knit together really well. That scene with Keke Palmer running across the parking lot, I swear I was in stitches the entire time. But it just all really worked well together. The second pro has to be J-Lo. Now, J-Lo is so good in this film. And I think it's really nice to see because I don't know how many of you remember her from like Out of Sight from like back in the day with George Clooney and when there was a lot of buzz about her, and then she did a lot of rom-coms, various rom-coms, and not all of them were very good. But this film, she's just so gritty, and in terms of her character, like sometimes you love her, sometimes you loathe her, and I think that that was just fantastic characterization by J-Lo because that's what people like. Everybody has light and shades, and in J-Lo's portrayal of Ramona, there were some times when you really saw the very best of her and the very worst of her. And J-Lo, she's like a supporting actress in this, so her name is listed second on all the billboards and like in the credits, but Constance Wu, I'm sorry, J-Lo really stole this film from underneath you, can I say that? But J-Lo, she was just great. She was just so great in this film. There's Oscars buzz around her, and I, for one, I really hope she does get nominated for an Oscar. But we'll see, we're a long way off, but J-Lo, she's definitely the star of this film, and she deserves all of the praise and all of the accolades that I think will be coming her way. Now, in terms of the cons, like on the flip side of the plot, for me, I would have to say that it felt kind of predictable. In terms of, this is a story that you've kind of seen before. Like people are doing something and it's going really well, but you just know it's probably not going to end very well. For a film to be really great, to be really excellent, it really has to have a sense of the unknown, that you don't know where it's going. You didn't get that in this film, which isn't a terrible thing, but for me it probably was one of the cons, as well as the fact that I felt that it rounded up really quickly. So I think it spent the good first hour and a half of the film really getting you involved in the story and being paced really well. But I think towards the end, when it kind of all goes wrong, that it happens quite quickly for me, and I felt like the resolution was like over that in a second. You're watching the credits, I was like, oh okay, like they spent more time building it than they did ending it, and I think that they could have balanced that a bit more. In terms of the themes, now number one would have to be friendship. There's a really strong relationship between Ramona and Destiny, and it's just core and central to the story. These two women who really had each other's back, were supporting each other and there for each other, especially when times got hard and when other people weren't there for them. And I thought that was something that was also really shown well in the stripper world. I guess you could think that maybe strippers are really catty and they're really fighting against each other because everyone's trying to make money, but they really had this world within the strip club where everyone was kind of supporting each other and there for each other in the beginning. And I personally really like that. We are never more strong as women than when we're sticking together and supporting each other. I'm a feminist 100%, so I'm definitely going to say that, but I really love that element of the film. Another theme that I really liked in the film was this idea of independence and interdependence. So one thing that Destiny says at the beginning of the film, and why she's gone into stripping and why she's friends with Ramona, is that she wants to be able to be independent and not to rely on anybody and to provide for her family and her daughter. And stripping gives her a way to do that. So many times we can be fooled into believing that we don't rely on anybody else, that our circumstances are unaffected by anybody else. And I think what is shown when the housing market crash happened is that it affected the world. It affected so many different people. People who you wouldn't even think. Like, I didn't even think that strippers would be affected by the fact that guys are no longer now able to come in and spend money, and then their lives are thrown into turmoil. And I think it's just a really important theme to just know that no man is an island. Nobody is really independent in this world. Like, we all have to rely on somebody to do something, from paving our roads to collecting our rubbish, like all of these things. Maybe it sounds like I'm getting too deep or too philosophical or something, but the fact is that we are all so connected that none of us are really living independently. Therefore, we really do have a responsibility to be responsible with the jobs that we have and the things that we have and the things that we do, because they affect more people than we could even realize. Now, in terms of ratings, you know I rate my films according to burgers, and if you're tuning in for the first time, I rate them according to burgers because I just love them. Now, out of a total of 5 wonderful burgers, I would give Hustlers 3.5. I think 3.5 is a fair rating for this because I think it's a good burger, it's a juicy burger, it's a burger that you would want to have again, but I think that the idea of like the roundup of the plot for me and the fact that it was kind of predictable to a certain extent stopped it from being excellent, even though it has some really great moments. Not that this should stop you from going out to see it. It's well worth the watch. It came out a week and a bit ago. It's going to be in cinemas for a while. There's going to be hopefully Oscars buzz around it, so make sure that you're getting out to see Hustlers. Now, as you know, I always like to end my film vlog on a question, and today's question would be, I was going to say a really inappropriate question like, what would your stripper name be if you could be a stripper? But that's probably I probably shouldn't say that. I probably shouldn't say that. So I think my question would be, what is your favorite film that has been based on a true story? Please let me know down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to press subscribe to my vlog by pressing the red button so you can know all of the films I'm watching, as I'm trying to round up and watch 100 films in 2019. You can follow my journey on social media. All the information is down below as well. But until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon.